Well, yet another terrible day in Colorado. There's been too many of these, man. All over the country, of course. All of them are too many. Just one is too many. But Colorado seems to have had more than their share, despite having some of the most restrictive gun laws in America, we should point out. It doesn't seem to be all that connected to the gun laws, but that's, of course, not what the left is going to tell you for the next few weeks. So we'll get into that maybe a little bit tomorrow. I want to start, though, with just the basics here. We didn't talk that much about it when this thing happened, on the radio program today and into this show when we didn't know anything about it. I feel like there's this weird thing people do where they feel like they need to jump to the end of the story and be right before they know anything about it. I'd rather sit back, get the information, and try to figure it out after that. That's why when we talked about the Asian American shootings the other day, we don't know the cause behind it. I mean, I'm not going to just believe the murderer, right? I'm also not going to just believe random people on Twitter. What I'm going to do is sit back and look at the motivation and inspiration as we go. All I can tell you is what's going on with the stats behind the narrative. Once we get a little further, we can explain a little bit more. This one has really flown out of control really quickly. Almost sitting, some sort of record, I think, has been set. A record that I don't know will ever be broken. As soon as this went down, people instantly just blamed evil white people. Because here's the thing, racism, which I used to believe, and this is my problem, I used to believe it was putting negative stereotypes upon a race of people or a color of skin. I used to think that's what it was. Now it's just, totally fine to do that, except as long as you just got to do it toward white people. If you do it towards white people, that's totally fine. Not racism whatsoever. In fact, it's actually anti-racism, which is even better than racism. It's like a new and improved version of a snack cake. It's better than ever, now new and improved with 20% more cream filling inside. So let me give you some of the tweets that came out. These are just a few. Caleb Hall put together a long list of these, and they're just embarrassing. Let me give you a few of them. D.L. Hughley, a comedian. A white armed mass murderer has a better chance surviving an encounter with the police than a black dude holding a phone. Hashtag Team DL. Because that's his hashtag that I guess is associated with him because his name's D.L. Hughley. See how clever that was at his point, accusing the white race of murder? Cool. Rosanna Arquette. Call it what it is. White supremacist domestic terrorism. Well, if it was that, we should call it that. Chris Titus says the suspect is being treated. If it's, meaning like if the media is saying the suspect is being treated, that means it's a white guy. The suspect deceased at the scene, black or brown guy. Tired of this S. Thank you so much, Chris Titus. I remember that brief moment where that show you did was sort of relevant. We'll say more than we've had so far. Just throwing it out there. Julie DeCaro. Boulder tweets about this, says extremely tired of people's lives depending on whether a white man with an AR-15 is having a good day or not. And found this one. This one's lots of fun. It says, let's see, debunking misinformation and fake news. You can see on the screen the person who's debunking it maybe providing some fake news of their own. Then you have George Hahn. When a white guy with an AR-15 shoots and kills a bunch of people, is the motive really relevant? Spoiler alert on the motive. He was having feelings, anger, inadequacy, invisibility, impotence, i.e. not special. Odd, like you could just throw these things at white people, these derogatory terms, and just apply them to mass portions of the race. And that's not racist at all. I really am having problems with this whole conversion therapy when it comes to different words meaning different things. Dylan Park tweets, a white man walked into a grocery store in Boulder, killed 10 people, and was apprehended by the police and walked out of the building completely unharmed. Right down the road, police killed Elijah McClain while he apologized for not doing anything wrong. Two different Americas. We'll have to go into the Elijah McClain thing another time. Although this guy was shot, so I don't know his right leg looked like it was in a Spider-Man costume. It was just covered in blood. He did not walk out completely unharmed. There's other problems with this tweet as well. Camilla Blackett says, it was so relaxing to just be worried about being killed by an invisible virus instead of literally any slightly inconvenienced white man with a gun. Michael Harriet from The Root, he writes, pointing out how white suspects get the benefit of the doubt without being stopped, frisked, beaten, shot, or killed is not a call for harsh treatment. It simply means we know cops are capable of treating people humanely, just not us. Y'all could use a few more ass whoopings, though. Good. That's fun. So all this went on We were told this guy, it was clear. I mean, it was violence in a grocery store. It had to be a white guy. That's the way these things work. Then they released a picture of the guy. And I'll say, you look at the picture, you could say, maybe that's a white guy, right? Got a little beer belly going on, got some chest hair. He's in his underwear. His right leg looks like it's in a superhero costume because it's just covered in blood. It's not a pretty picture. So some sit-ups could be an option at some point. But I mean, look, it's a white guy, clearly a white guy. We're not going to show his face because we don't show the faces of killers. And I'm not going to give you his full name, but I will give you his first name just so you can kind of see where this is going. His first name is Ahmaud. Now, lots of white supremacists are named Ahmaud, obviously. Huge population of the KKK named Ahmaud. It's really super common. The rest of his name also maybe not so common. Look, the whole thing comes down to this. Not a white guy. At least, unless it could be, maybe he's a convert. We don't know. We do know that he is a Muslim and a devout Muslim. He writes on his Facebook page, the Muslims at Christchurch Mosque were not the victims of a single shooter. They were the victims of the entire Islamophobia industry that vilified them. That's profound words for a guy who would go shoot a bunch of people at a grocery store later on. Now, some of these are not confirmed. They're being tweeted by a bunch of blue checks and journalists and such, so I do believe they're accurate from the Facebook page. But just to give you that little bit of a disclaimer, this is what we're working on right now. As you know, these things sort of develop. It's interesting in that the media is reporting him, so we're going to go with it. Though, again, should they be reporting this stuff? I don't know. We're not going to give you his name. Just curious what the laws are about phone privacy, because I believe my old school was hacking my phone. Then he later writes, if these racist Islamophobic people could stop hacking my phone and leave me a normal life, I probably could get along and have a normal life. He also tweeted reportedly about Trump. Trump is a D word. Not a nice term for Donald Trump. Didn't seem to be a huge fan. Though we do have a little room for narrative here. Just prepare yourself. He says he's against gay marriage. So if he's against gay marriage, we now know where this coverage will go, which will be he was a anti-gay, homophobic, religious extremist. How can we do that one? Can we do that one and get away with it? Well, people buy that. The bottom line here, though, is that the narrative that the media and celebrities wanted you so badly to believe was not really the narrative. It wasn't true. These things didn't occur in this way. And at some point you wonder, is there anybody, do you ever have a moment of contrition? Do you ever think to yourself, maybe I shouldn't have gone out and just guessed randomly as to who the person was? I mean, wouldn't it be really dumb if we just, every time there was a shooting, we all kind of just came out and said, oh, well, we think it was Muslims. Now, look, a lot of terrorist attacks have been related to Muslims, just like a lot of mass shooters have been white. Not all of them, not some crazy percentage, but still, there's been a bunch. There's a lot of white people here. A lot of white mass shootings have been done by white people. Do we go out and do we go crazy and just guesstimate as to what race we think it will be? Why is everyone trying to paint a little narrative for themselves instead of just taking a tragic event and understanding what happened with it and trying to make things better? But instead, we kind of use this little excuse to be able to blame the other side, to be able to use this in sort of a big collectivist way, to be able to say, you know what, it's not enough that one bad person did something. We need to blame the whole group of people. That is racism. It's collectivism. It's racism. It's both of those things. They run hand in hand almost all the time. And this goes all the way to, can you imagine if this happened under the Trump administration? Imagine if Eric Trump started tweeting stuff like this, or Donald J. Trump started tweeting stuff like this that was proven this wrong. I think the media would be all over it. They'd be talking about it constantly. Well, Mina Harris, who is the daughter of Kamala Harris, wrote, the Atlanta shooting was not even a week ago. Violent white men are the greatest terrorist threat to our country. This is a family member of the vice president of the United States. And not only, it would be wrong to assign blame, even if it was, like the Atlanta shooting appeared to be a white dude, right? Does that mean you blame all white people? Does that mean you blame all churchgoers? Do you blame all men? Why go down that road? Maybe we should blame the people responsible for the crimes. Isn't this the United States of America? I don't understand this. And this is someone who's got an ear in the White House. Steve Krakauer pointed out the vice president's niece, I should say niece, I said daughter, but niece, spreading misinformation and inflaming tensions after a tragic shooting. I guess this doesn't matter, but if it were happening during the last administration, it would be national news. Yes, it would. In fact, Mina Harris decided to delete her original tweet and make things even worse somehow. She tweets, I deleted a previous tweet about the suspect in the Boulder shooting. I made an assumption based on his being taken into custody alive and the fact that the majority of mass shootings in the U.S. are carried out by white men. This is way worse. I mean, maybe you could at least say, I saw the picture, he looked like a white dude, my bad. That's an okay apology. I just randomly generalized an entire race of people because I have these misconceptions about how these things go. You know, my idea that only white people get taken into custody is massively crazy to me to hear pitched by the left when with the same breath they will tell us we have too many prisons and too many minorities in prisons. How did they get there? They all walk in on their own? I imagine some of them were apprehended by police. Why else would they go to prison if they were not? It's difficult to understand. But that tweet's actually worse than the first one. And this is the problem here. You go down this idea of trying to paint a narrative, trying to win the narrative battle. And you fail this spectacularly, as we've outlined here with all these celebrities and media figures. And instead of just saying like, okay, look, that was idiotic. I need to step back and check my priors. I need to understand why I'm doing that because I should not be jumping to such conclusions. Instead of that, you see the backing off of Mina Harris, where she says, well, actually, I'm sorry, I just assumed it. But I assumed it because all white people are bad. Here's the other spin. This one's from Ilhan Omar. She says, the shooter's race or ethnicity seems front and center when they aren't white. Otherwise, it's just a mentally ill young man having a bad day. Narratives drive our responses to awful crimes committed against innocent people. Pay attention to these responses and who was targeted. So the fact that everyone was celebrating and dunking on white people in general yesterday when they thought it was a white person, Ilhan Omar acts like that didn't occur and now acts like people are obsessed with the race of the person or the religion of the person in this particular case, a Muslim person. See, they're all just going after Muslims. The only reason the Muslim thing is being brought up is because you guys all blamed white people yesterday. I don't care. I have no reason to defend white people generally. I don't care about that nonsense. I don't care about it. I care about individuals. I will tell you this, as a white person, and this is back room, white person stuff. We all get together. We talk about white people. And you know what? Here's the secret. Just as high a percentage of white people suck as every other race. It's like the same. There's a bunch of people who suck. Most people suck. I would assume because you're watching this show, you're probably pretty cool, but you might suck too. I don't know if you're white. I don't know what color you are. The bottom line is people suck at about the same percentage across racial groups. It doesn't matter at all. The second we step back and recognize people as individuals with individual rights and responsibilities, when we can finally get back to that moment, whenever that was, or strive for it in the future, that'll be wonderful. But we've decided to instead strive to a place where we're blaming groups again. This didn't work out last time, and it won't work out this time either.